Alright, in this video we'll talk you through how to work the blended Fastener Specification worksheet, drawing example, and rubric. So let's start here at the top. Review both assignments below. Select 3 fastener pairs from the US Standard Inch and 3 from the metric set. Locate and open them from the fastener library, and that's that library in Inventor. Save them to your TechEd server space. Create a simplified representation drawing for each on a size B sheet. So a few things we need to definitely take from this and learn how to do is what is a simplified representation? Well, what we're going to do is jump back into this pretty extensive Google slide here or PowerPoint, whatever you want to call it, so we can then go in here and find, well, what is a simplified representation of a fastener? And we'll also come in here to understand, well, what is all this nomenclature and all this stuff? How do we name these things? So let's swing down through here and take a look here. How to make technical drawings of threaded fasteners? Well, here we have a detailed drawing. That looks like it's threaded. That's pretty detailed. Then we come over here to schematic. All right, this does not look very detailed, but this is a schematic view of a threaded fastener. And then here is the simplified representation. So this is a pretty common view where the threads are not drawn. You can see the hidden line. That would be for the minor diameter, and then you can see the major diameter is the outside of those threads. That would be the crest. So the root and the crest there. All right, so we're making a simplified representation. So let's get back to the assignment here. So we know what we're going to make. We'll go through how to pull stuff from the library in Revit. And let's go down. It says to take a look at the assignments. Let's go in here. So Fastener Specification Worksheet. So here we have a Fastener Specification Worksheet. And this is where we would fill out all the information here. So what is the major diameter for a hex head? So a hex head major diameter, well, that would be that 1 1/8 right there. And, you know, I know all this information because going through this fastener chart is where I got to find out how do you read this information. So how do you read a thread specification? So we're going to go back here to the top where it starts talking about some of the first things here. So we got 1/4 inch, 20, UNC, 3.25, 2A, RH 1.0. So here's our major diameter. That's your 1/4 inch. Here's 20 threads per inch. We got UNC. That's Unified National Course. All right, so this is how we read this information and find our thread series. There we got 3.25. That's the length of the fastener. 2 is a class of fit, so it's either going to be tight, loose, or 2 is right there in the medium, middle. A, external threads. All right, B would be internal. So B would be like a hole that's been tapped, drilled, tapped, and threaded, or a nut is an internal thread. So external threads are going to be like a bolt. Right hand means that it works right-handed. So you turn it clockwise for it to advance into a hole. And then the depth of the thread here, that's the thread depth, how long the threads are on the fastener. So each one comes in here and gives you a little bit more information about 20, that's your threads per inch. So in 1 inch, you have 20 threads. UNC, that's your series, Unified National Course, okay, general use. And then you can also see there's others, Unified National Fine for a tighter fit, or extra fine when length of the fastener is very, very critical. They go to an extra fine series. So here's the length. This is the length of the bolt here, all right? So generally based on the portion of the fastener that is below the surface of the material. Now, here a pan head, actually this is where the material sits, so it's from the threaded portion. Here is a countersink, and this is also a countersink. So this portion sits below, and this portion sits above. So generally, it's from what is below the surface that the fastener is being put into, all right? 2A, so that's where we get into this thread class, all right? Normal production. It's not super tight, not super loose. And then we have A or B. So A is always external threads. Then we have depth of thread. So here we have the depth of the actual thread on the part, not necessarily the depth of the fastener or the length of the fastener, but just the threading, because you can see that there can be a shoulder here that's not threaded. So that's really what all of that information turns out to give you here. If we go back in and take a look at this, so 7 is the threads per inch here. The bolt length is going to come in here at 2. Thread series is the UNC, and then class of fit is the 2. This is a external because it's a bolt, this is a right-handed thread because it doesn't specify right or left. All right, so if it is going to be left, it would be specified. If not specified left, it is right. And then the minor diameter, we'll figure out the minor diameter after we lay out the part. Okay, so looking at this chart, what I'm going to then say here, let's jump back here to the assignment. It says, only fill out the chart for the fasteners and their mates that you select. So up here, 3 fastener pairs from the standard and 3 from the metric set. So we're really only filling in 3 on this chart, and then we're going to fill in 3 from this metric chart. So let's go back here to this thread spec series, and let's just pick 2 of these, and we'll find the actual object. And then, so let's take a look here. So we got let's go hex head. That's going to be a bolt. That's 7/8. So now I'm looking for something that is going to be a hex. Well, I shouldn't say hex. It's going to be a 7/8 that's going to meet this. So this is a 7/8, and so might as well just go ahead and start filling this in. So let's do 7/8. The bolt length is 2.25. The thread series, or I'm sorry, inches. That's 14. This is going to be UNF, and then keep coming along. Class of fit. That's a 2. This is important. So this is going to be A. So if this is A, then I know that I'm dealing with a bolt here, okay? It's obviously not left-handed, so I'll finish this off as right. And minor diameter we'll work with in a second. So I'm looking for a bolt. So I'm looking for a nut or something threaded at 7/8. So I come down here. Oh, there's a 7/8 14 UNF2B. That's it. That's its mate. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this information in here. Bolt length, there is none. All right, so I can put in here NA, not applicable. Threads, 14, that should need to be the same. This should also be UNF. That has to be because they have to fit each other. Then the class of fit, that has to be 2. And then, of course, this has to be B because A always goes into a B. And then, of course, right, because they have to match each other. So you can see how this chart gets filled out only for the mates. So this is going to be my first mate. Now let's go ahead and find this information in Inventor. Okay, so what you see here, this is a completed fastener spec sheet that's laid out. Now this is the full inch sheet. So if I zoom in here, I should find, there's my 7/8. So here's my 7/8 14 UNF2B. There's my nut, and here is my bolt. So that's all set. It's a pretty hefty size fastener. And this is how we'll lay these out. So we'll actually give, this would be, what would be like a left side view of this, the front view, and then a single view here of the nut. Okay, so this is what we're looking to do. So how do we get to this point? Well, we got to go to a family, to a Revit family folder, and go find this stuff. So we're going to go up here to the button. It says File. We'll just click on File. Come on down to Open. Just sit there, slide on over, and then we want to go to Open from Content Center. This Content Center is very similar to, say, a McMaster car or a Granger, where we can go in here and we can start hunting through here and starting looking for, here's cable and harnesses, fasteners, all of their parts and pieces here. I want to click on the little plus to open up the fasteners. I want to come on down here to bolts. I want to hit the little plus down here. And you can see that I've got countersunk, hex head, flange, all these different types of bolts here. And I want to see that this is a hex head. So I'm going to click on the hex head. All right, if I actually click on the folder here, then this pops up and I can see that I have all these different options here in this folder. So I got to come back in here and say, now what am I really looking for here again? Let's go back and find out. This is a hex head 7/8 14 UNF. So as I come back here to Revit and I'm inside here, I am looking for a hex head, which these are hex heads, these are bolts, and I'm going to look for, is it a hex bolt inch? Well, there's hex bolt inch, so I can open that up. And I can even pull this up a little bit so I can see a little more down here. So there's my 1/4 Well, I need a 7/8. So I'm way down in this list. So slide down. Whoop. There's a 1/8. There's a 7/8. So 7/8 14 UNF. And there's a ton of these in here. So let's go back and find more information. So we're going to go back out to the assignment, which is down here. So we are 7/8 14 UNF 2.25. So the length is going to be the next big descriptor we're hunting for. So the length, so just so I can see this a little bit, oh, there's your thread length right there. So it looks like nominal length. There we go. We're going to slide up here a little bit more until we can also find there's 2.25, thread length 2. Let's work with that. So I'm going to highlight that one so I can see it really well. Okay, now I can see this. I can really get a better look to see, okay, let's double check this is what I need. So 2.5, 2, let's go back and take a look at what is it I'm really looking for. And this is, oh, it's 2.25. Oh, I'm glad I checked that. That would be wrong. So always double check. So we got 7/8, 14, UNF, 2.25, 2A. Now we'll go back in here and we'll get back in Revit. So 7/8, 14, 2.25. It's going to be this one up here. Okay. And coming across, yes, we're good. Thread length is 2. Remember, that length is going to be what's down inside of the material that we are fastening. So I think that's our fastener right there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit open. And it's going to go ahead and create that file and make that file for us. All right, so here it is. That's the wrong one there. Close that. This is our file right there, 2.25. Always look at the name up top here. This is inch 7/8, 14 UNF 2.25. Good. So that's our fastener. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go find its mating nut. So we'll go back to open, go to the content center. And we'll start hunting back in here. So we're not in hex heads anymore. We are now looking for something different. Instead of bolts, we are now looking for nuts. So let's take a look to see if we can get into here. There we go, nuts. And we're just looking for a hex nut. I believe it's a hex nut. I'll go back and take a look. So this is a heavy hex. So it's a heavy hex. 7/8, 14. All the rest of the same nomenclature. So heavy hex. Do we have anything in here calling out a heavy hex? So there's a heavy hex jam, heavy hex flat, heavy hex nut inch. There it is. Now we go back down here and start looking again. So 7/8, 14. There it is. Notice there's a whole lot less options here. So this has got to be it. 7/8, 14. That looks like UNF. That is our fastener. Hit OK. And now that pops up here in Inventor for us. So now we're ready to save these. So before we put them onto a sheet, we need to save them. So I highly recommend go ahead and doing a save as, and if you're home on your laptop, go ahead to your desktop, go ahead, right click, and make a new folder, and call this thing Fasteners, and then go into that folder, and then go ahead and drop these in to that particular folder. So we'll go to there, we'll go to this nut, we'll do the same thing here, we'll save this. And that's going to go into the same folder here, desktop, fasteners, and we'll drop it in there too. All right, great. So now we're ready to go ahead and start laying this out. And I'll just right click down here, new sheet, and we'll open up a brand new sheet. Right now this does look like it's a size B, so let's double check, edit sheet. Yep, it's a size B, that's good. We got the Form 5 title block on here already. We're all good to go. So I'll grab base view here, and right now this is the nut. We'll work with that. And just bring it up here and we can drop it. We don't necessarily need to see both views. I didn't give you both views. So we'll just go ahead and put that in place. Then we'll go ahead and X out of that one. And now we're ready to put the bolt in. So we'll grab base again. Go ahead and pull down this window here to go find where it is. And since it's open, it gives me this option. If it's not open, I can hit that little file folder, click on that, and then go find it. And that'll be on my desktop here, underneath of my fasteners folder, and there it is. There's my 2.25. Open that thing up, and I really want to bring this up in the kind of position. We'll show you why here in a little bit, but we'll go ahead and drop the two views here into position. And now I want to link them, because right now they're free willy moving around, and I want to take and say I want this object. We'll go ahead and right click on it, and I want to tell it that I want alignment horizontally with this object. So now they're all linked. Okay, so when one moves here, they're all going to move together. And that's how I want this set up, so it's nice and clean and linked up. Now we're ready to go ahead and start adding notation to these. So one of the first things that we'll do, annotate, center marks and center lines. All right, so start center marking your bolt head there. And then we can go ahead and grab the bisector line. And just make sure if you do this, make sure you grab the same lines on either side that bisect this thing. So we'll go ahead and bisect that. Right click. And create, well, create's not an option, so I guess it made it already. We'll just click on that and pull it out so it extends approximately the same off the edge of the part there. All right, so we've got our center marks there. So then the next thing I would say to do is let's go back and take a look at the assignment, see what are the type of information is being asked for here. So two places we can go look. We could go into Canvas and take a look at the rubric, find out the information here. We can also take a look at the example. So here is a U.S. Standard Thread Specification explained. This is the worksheet, and this is an example. complete fastener specification worksheet metric and inch. Well, any of these things can work out for us. Let's go ahead and take a look at this blended fastener example, and here you can see you have both of these fasteners available, sheets available to you. So if you download, you can actually then pull this up as a PDF, and you can see all the notation that you will have to then create on this. Now, a lot of this dimensioning is pretty simple because it pulls that thread specification for you, but you have to have this notation here also. So hex head scale 1 to 1. So let's go back here into Inventor, and let's go ahead and get that note pulled up. If I select the fastener, right-click, edit the view, and I want this to come up here, scale 1 to 1, I can turn that light bulb on, and if I hit OK, it says View 68. Well, that's not really what I want. So let's go back in and edit it. Well, there's View 68. Well, I can highlight this, and I can call this hex head, because that's the drive on the top of this thing. Hit OK, and now it says hex head, and it's scaled 1 to 1. Then I can start adding the rest of the information here. So if I were to grab the hole and thread note, that's where it can pull up the information on that 714 UNF. Same thing if I were to grab one of those hidden lines inside here for the crest or the root of this particular fastener, that pulls up, and that's all great. Now we can just keep adding dimensions as needed. So we'll go ahead and get the head size here. I want to make sure that we get the remaining dimensions set up and pulled up off of this part. So we'll go ahead and continue to add dimensions. Now, notice how this is running over top. What I'm going to do is slide this down so things aren't running over top of each other. And then I'd say from here, go back and reference the examples and take a look at the examples, download them so you can see them really well, and then just add the necessary dimensions to it. Okay? Here you can see that you have a major diameter. One of the last things that I'm going to tell you to do here is in filling out that chart, when you wanted to find out the major diameter, that's your major diameter, crest to crest on the outside. The minor diameter is root to root. So your minor diameter for the chart is going to be 0.80, okay? 0.80. So then what you would do is you can head back to that fastener chart here, that blended fastener chart, that thread specification, and here your hex head minor diameter, you're going to type in 0.80, okay? Not necessary for the bolt. You can actually just put in NA for that particular thing because it would be similar. And continue to move forward. So go ahead and pick two more pair from the inch specification. Then you're going to go ahead and go into the metric specs, and you can go into this chart and you can pick 2 more pair from this particular chart and start filling out the chart. All right. Now, you'll probably have to go back and reference the fastener worksheet here to understand the metric specifications. It's a little different. Similar, but a little different. Okay? So go back in and take a look at that. So these DIN standards, the German Institute for Standardization, is just a different way of calling out the type of fastener. There's a different nomenclature. All right? But very much similar, we have a metric diameter. So your major diameter, we have a thread description. Okay, the thread description, 933 hexagon cap screws fully threaded. So it really calls out a little more specific than just hex head. Okay, your pitch distance, pitch diameter, and the rest of the information here necessary. So take this, go through the information here, work your way back and forth. Make sure you pick 3 pairs, and then lay this out on your Inventor drawing sheet on a B-size sheet. When you have a completed blended fastener sheet, here you can see I have my metrics on one side, and then I have my inches on the other. You'll then PDF this sheet along with adding the 2 charts that you filled out. So there's going to be 1 chart here that you would fill out, only 3 pair, okay, and then here 3 pair also. And then you would PDF all of those together and submit those to Canvas. All right, hopefully that helps get you moving on the Fastener Spec worksheet.